2016, the biggest meme was running in the 90s. Since then, I searched for the show that meme came from, which was Initial D. Although I wouldn't start the journey with the series until a year ago, with me trying out the new translation version of the series. If you need my full opinion on the movies, here's a little clip for you.
It's probably the better way to watch it, right? Because the show's a little
No,
slow.
there's no energy.
What the
To
fuck?
just watch the movies, it's boring and it doesn't have the same vibe as the original show. And I literally put on Eurobeats while the races are going on, just
Yeah.
to get it through it.
Now, having watched Initial D, the third stage movie, all the way from the first stage, made me think about the evolution of Takumi Fujiwara, with someone discovering the passion that they'll follow on that path into adulthood. And what are the building blocks to a good anime? Initial D is based on the manga by Shinichi Shingeno. The manga would be adapted into an anime in 1998 by Studio Pastel. The show has the iconic Eurobeat that anyone who's tossed on a Eurobeat Megamix playlist will know about, like the songs Running in the 90s, which I mentioned before, Deja Vu, and Rising Suns. The show was a clear test of the limit between traditional TV anime production of the time with cel animated character moments mixed in with computer-generated computer race scene for the show, with the line between computer cel animated being blurred. From the first moment of Initial D's second stage, there's a clear switch to an all-digital production to the show, with the series ending with Takumi becoming distant to Natsuki, learning defeat and the limit of his 8-6, and Ryunosuke building up a prefecture, which is what's needed to know and is explained in the first 30 minutes of the film. Initial D third stage deals with Takumi Fujiwara as he rematches with Koichi and his fixed up 8-6. Takumi faces off with his father's rival's son, and with his biggest foe yet, his love with Natsuki. Natsuki is the embodiment of what is preventing Takumi from discovering his own purpose. Both Takumi and Natsuki know that they want to be together. They'll both realize that they aren't meant to be together. It's not just that Natsuki was seeing an older man while she was with Takumi, or Takumi not being able to build up a relationship with Natsuki as much as he would like to, but it's a clash of ideals. Takumi is a stubborn kid who may be directionless, but he has a skill that is unmatched by anyone else. Natsuki is someone who, although directionless, finds herself being involved with people who she shouldn't even be involved with in the first place. Although comes to recognize these issues and tries to improve herself and finds that she wants something that is stable and that she's able to be content with. These ideals come ahead in the movie as while Natsuki has changed herself for the better for Takumi. Takumi decided to stick with his own carved path of being a great racer while staying in Gunma, even with the possibility that may come in being in Tokyo and moving from racing to being an adult. He decides to stay and make the best out of what he knows. It's weird seeing this as Takumi entered his final year of high school in the movie and graduated by the end of the film. It's so weird as I'm in that transitional moment and that I know I'm currently capable of, and knowing what I need to do to pursue my future that is ahead of me. I certainly be leaving certain people behind for the future, like Takumi. I will have to make a decision on what I will become and who I'll be taking with me in my future. In that, I'll make a decision on what will help me achieve my goal of becoming an animator, like my first ever YouTube video that I've ever made, or will I stay here and stagnate, just doing the same thing over and over. Something I mentioned before, which I found fascinating, was the evolution of animation techniques used in the anime. I know the absolute peak of which the animation will reach in my decision as to view the new theatrical version of Initial D. I think it's an interesting case to witness the transition of cel animation to digital animation. While a case can be made, the same can be said for the original Pokemon anime. It's not the same like it is with Initial D. Initial D first stage versus Initial D third stage look like two different series entirely. Although because of the staff of the show and their adaptation of new technologies that was available year after year, like Takumi taking new techniques as he raced, improving himself. It is the exact same art that can be seen in the staff of the show itself. I generalize the staff as I don't believe it's just one individual that made the show improve. It's not just animation that elevates the series above other anime, it's also its use of the show's soundtrack. Something that's been rattling in my mind as of late as I work on studying and improving my own art is something that Stanley, of all people, said while talking about inking comic book panels. The inker here didn't use enough variety in his lines. The blackened areas are too skimpy and spotty. They have no pattern. His lines are almost the same weight, with no feelings of thick or thin. The characters, as you see, seem to blend right into the background. It's boring. It's not just bad to keep a panel light, then to overwork it. The secret is to know when and where to place your strong black areas. Too little or too much will ruin your drawing. Stanley. It's funny to say, though, the music can be viewed as a tool for a show similar to inking a comic book. It's what adds texture to a show and adds weight to each and every scene in a show. Something that I felt was lacking in the new theatrical version, which is seen in the original series and the third stage movie. The third stage movie was a spectacular job in its use of music, adding to help build up suspense of Takumi's rescue of Natsuki and his race against his father's rival's son. The mix of music and animation helps elevate Initial D to its well-known status. It's been a fun couple of weeks experiencing Initial D. It helps me in my life and gives me some perspective on the human experience, which I always look forward in watching this series, which is something that I see in Neon Genesis Evangelion, though I might save that for another day. I'm glad I've been able to spend my time witnessing the new theatrical version in the original series, including third stage. I'm kind of glad that I've been able to add a new show onto my list of favorites, and I know that I'll be on the hunt for the next one to add to my list. This is Osoweeb, and anime forever.